Namaskar. Greetings to all our learners. Welcome to CEC lecture. The topic that we will be understanding, international order and looking at the international order from the perspective of third world. Dear learners, the topic is third world and international order. As we take the learning forward, in this lecture we will be trying to understand the concept, the historical evolution of the concept of the various dynamics within the idea of third world. We will have a critical analysis of the challenges and opportunities for the third world, and very important with respect to issues for and of contemporary international relations. In this lecture, we will try to look at the third world from two very varied perspectives. First one, the Cold War, which was a very crude defining reality for a long phase of the international history, and secondly, the post-Cold War global order. So as we take our learning forward, the idea and the concept of third world emerged in the post-Second World War era. It's very essential to understand the time context, that is, when the world was divided into two opposite ideological blocks at a time when there was what we can say ideological bifurcation of the world. At that time, this concept emerged, and also when we look at the concept in the context of Cold War, one also has to look at the process of decolonization. Many Asian and African countries got independence. They joined international community as sovereign entities, and this is very essential to understand then what were the problems of these newly independent countries, namely poverty, malnutrition, unemployment, overpopulation, economic backwardness, dangers of neo-colonialism, political instability. Now, when we look at these problems, it is when we go by the remarks and accounts of history, the third world countries decided to pursue their own path. Some of them argued that neither they wanted to be fully Western liberal capitalist, which was the system of the West Bloc, nor do they wanted to follow the totalitarian communist system of the East Bloc. The first world, if we are to go by the definition, was led by the United States and mainly consisted of developed countries located in Western Europe and North America. When we look at the structure and functioning of the government apparatus, what we find here is in these countries, democracy, human liberty, equality, free and fair trade enterprise were always given primacy. The second world signified the countries following the path of Soviet Union or the socialist countries of Eastern Europe. Socio-economic development through bureaucratic central planning was one of the hallmarks of the second world countries. They were often, when we look at the bifurcation beyond the first world and the second world, there were countries that were called as less developed countries. Some academicians, research scholars called them as developing countries. Others remarked them as former colonies. The South, some of them called as, these countries signified the third world. The third world countries had an important stand during the Cold War, that is, they were also identified as non-aligned countries. Herein, the non-aligned movement and the 1955 Bandung Conference and the Bandung spirit thereof, which emerges from the 1955 conference, it was embodied in what was known as the Bandung's 10 principles. Among these were political self-determination, mutual respect for sovereignty, non-aggression, non-interference in the internal affairs, and equality. So what you see here is that if we go by the writings, research by Irving Lewis Horowitz, that is Three Worlds of Development, the Theory and Practice of International Stratification, Oxford University Press, 1966, that the dyadic balance of world relations that the world saw with the Cold War, with the emergence of Third World, was transformed into a triadic balance. The term Third World first appeared in a 1952 article entitled Three Worlds, One Planet. This is by Alfred Sauvy, French demographer, anthropologist, and historian. A very important perspective on Third World comes from Caroline Thomas in 1987 book, that is In Search of Security, the Third World in International Relations. Caroline Thomas' work questions security and how insecurity, how they were different for people in developing nations. It's very essential how she points out in her work that imperial powers, the colonial nations, did withdraw. And what happens here is, in this process of withdrawal, they paid less attention for their future. The people of decolonized states were left in conditions, according to Caroline Thomas, of economic, political, social, military turmoil, with few resources also at their hand in order to avoid future issues, problems, and misery. The Caroline Thomas arguments, when we go deeper into her work, is that Third World people were vulnerable to the dictates of institutions, as we look at in the present context, like the International Monetary Fund, some of the supranational governance organization, because they have no decision-making powers. Similarly, when we understand her arguments, it's very essential, and this is a very important review that we take from theguardian.com on Caroline Thomas' works, that is, to actions of powerful capitalist states as interest rate fluctuates, to changes in the production policies of transnational cooperation, and to natural disasters, which environmental science now has shown is not always natural. So what we see here is that the problems of Third World, if we go by Caroline Thomas' perspective, the imperial powers' withdrawal had led them into more insecurity. This is why questions of security, which is very important in international relations, if we go by the arguments of Caroline Thomas' 1987 book, In Search of Security, the Third World in International Relations, the questions of security are different for the developed world and different for the developing world. Now, a very important work which paid attention to the position and the conditions of the Third World, the former colonies, was that of by the dependency theory. The thrust of the dependency theory is that the Third World or the peripheral countries are underdeveloped and poor because their economy was fused. The dependency theory, which was developed in late 1950s, director of the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America, Raul Prebisch, how it tells us that unequal exchange relationship between developed and developing countries was viewed as contributing to poor economic growth. Similarly, as against to the developed dependency theory perspective was that of the modernization theory that also remarked for the position of the third world in global order. Walter Rostow, Talcott Parsons, Daniel Lerner, all of them, in their work, how they put forward the perspective that Western capitalistic values, the practices, the norms are the basis, they are essential for modernizing the third world countries. A very essential, important historical fact, that is how the Group of 77, which had been created at the first United Nations Conference on Trade and Development meeting held in 1964. And at that time, the idea of new international economic order, NEO, was put forward in order to rectify the imbalances in the international economic relations and exchanges. A very important work that we will look into, that's by Robert H. Jackson, that is Quasi-States, Sovereignty, International Relations and the Third World. This book by Robert H. Jackson is from Cambridge University Press, 1993, and how in this work Robert Jackson gives the idea that is the third world nations since the end of the Second World War are quasi-states. That is, they exist by the support and indulgence of the international community, then by the abilities and efforts of their own governments and people. So when we look at the work of Robert Jackson and the idea of quasi-states deeply, the work puts forward a normative framework calling for negative sovereignty and contrasts it with the positive sovereignty that emerged in Europe along with the modern state. Economic progress in the developing countries as time passed by had profound implications for global cooperation, for multilateralism, and this is what, as contrasting to what Robert Jackson pointed out about the idea of quasi-states, namely the third world, an important remarks comes forward, and for that we look towards the remarks by the then World Bank chief Robert Zoellick in 2010, pointing out at how the third world concept is no longer relevant, or that how today the contours of the world have been redefined, because what were erstwhile third world countries today, with their economic progress in developing countries, they today have a profound impact, important stake for global cooperation in working on multilateralism. And to quote from the report, that is how economic and political plates are shifting. Once again, quoting from the report from Reuters, April 2010, third world concept no longer relevant, as opined by World Bank chief, the then chief Robert Zoellick, that is, the old concept of third world is no longer applicable. The rich countries cannot impose their will on developing nations, because it is these developing nations that are now major sources of global growth. A very important perspective that comes forward is that by Stephanie Neumann, that is in the book International Relations Theory and the Third World by Stephanie Neumann, Palgrave Macmillan, US, 1998. And this work points out an important lacune in IR theory with respect to situating an analysis of the third world. It points out how there is lack of scholarship for understanding the third world policy behavior. The book puts forward a very important argument, that is, there is a need for exploring the third world experience. There is a need to broaden our understanding of how and why states interact in the international system. another important work, and we are taking all these reference work in order to substantiate our arguments as to where and how do we situate the concept and the dynamics of the third world in the global order. There's an important book that by Amitabh Acharya and Barry Buzan from Cambridge University Press, 2019. The title of the book is Making of Global International Relations. And Amitabh Acharya, Barry Buzan also point out that there is a need to explore the voices, the histories of global South. Critical analysis of traditionally dominant perspectives of the West. There is a need to understand rapidly emerging post-Western world order and diffuse the distribution of power, wealth, and cultural authority. So this book, right from talking about the need to have a global IR, which should not be just a Western oriented, which must reflect on the realities, on the histories of the global South, and above all, which must be diffused in terms of power and authority, the changing parameters of power and authority in the global realm. Now we all know that since February, March 2020, the world battled the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic. Now today the world is looking at a post-pandemic world, where the world will be, the contours of the world order after the pandemic age. A very important article, and we take reference to that points out how the developing countries would be one of the drivers of the global order in the post-pandemic world. So this article by A. Zaman from foreignpolicy.com, September 2, 2020, it says that how global economy is becoming more digitized, it's much more multipolar, it's much more fluid. And most important, when we look at these changing dynamics of the global economy, more multipolar, more fluid, more digitized, this somewhere works in advantage to the favorable demographics, digitization efforts, quicker health responses, and many of the countries of the global South, if we go by the parameters, they are faring better than their wealthy counterparts. So what you see here is, once again, when we draw on this argument that has been presented to us by A. Zaman, that is in the post-pandemic world, if we are to situate the erstwhile third world or the developing countries, they are going to be playing a very important role. An important perspective that we take from some of the young voices, because as we see that the demographics of the world are changing. Today, the world is home to a lot of youth population, and this will have an important bearing on working out the contours of the world order in future. And for this, we draw on to the high-level meeting of the General Assembly at this United Nations 75th anniversary on recent terms, 21st September 2020, and wherein we draw on from the resources from news.un.org. Now, there's an important perspective that is coming forward, that reduced inequalities between countries, peoples, communities, in which the young are seen as a major asset for the development of nations, particularly in Africa, that make up some of the 60% of the population. And these are the words of Cecil Mawe, a founder and president of JAD, which is a youth organization which advocates for sustainable development in Cameroon. Then a very important perspective that's coming forward from here is that how today the future of world order will depend on how does one work on and strive to reduce the inequalities between countries, peoples and communities. So dear learners, when we are understanding the concept of the third world, at the outset it's very essential for us to understand that this concept originated at a time when there was a lot of churning in the global order, and that was the time of the post Second World War, wherein we find lot of studies, lot of arguments being done in terms of bifurcation of the world as the first world and the third world. Amidst this comes out a block of countries which was newly independent. They had their own set of problems and they wanted to take forward their newly attained independence to work out new horizons of development for them. The term third world was first appeared when we look at the 1952 article by Alfred Sauvy, and from time and again with this concept coming up, lot of work has been done in order to analyze how does one situate the third world in the global order. For Caroline Thomas, the idea of third world has to be seen that how security and insecurity are different for people in the developing setup and that of the developed setup. To add to that how even today the actions of the global order are somewhere having a democratic deficit in terms of their impact and reach on the third world. So what you see here is that in the past what was argued by the dependency theory, that is unequal trade relations, leading to more underdevelopment in the already problem inflicted third world, or that of modernization theory asking for a chartered way that countries must take in order to attain development. And with this, the narrative that was, for example, when we look at the research by Robert H. Jackson talking about quasi-states, or for that matter how with time there have been pronunciations made that today third world are the drivers of growth because there are economic and political tectonic plates, they are shifting, and therein the third world has an important role to play in the international order. And when we juxtapose all these arguments in a teleology and look at it from the contemporary perspective, today amidst a pandemic there are reports to justify that how countries of the global south, how the developing countries, how the former colonies, they have showed remarkable resilience to put forward a collective solidarity in battling it. There have been remarks that how today in the post-pandemic world, because of changes in global order, changes in global political economy, with rise of digitalization, with more dynamics within multipolarity, what you see here is that with this, today countries are doing, the developing countries, the erstwhile colonies, or what we identify by global south, they are doing better than their much of the erstwhile wealthy counterparts. So dear learners, whenever we try to look at the role of third world in international order, it is essential to look at the timeline of history, look at the debates and research and analysis that has gone into development and exploration of the concept, and most important, look at it from the contemporary developments wherein the third world is bound to play a very important role in the reimagination of, in the reworking of the global order in the post-pandemic world in order to carve out the dynamics of global world interests which are much more holistic, comprehensive, and not having any kind of bias towards one particular continent, wherein collective efforts will be needed on parts of all stakeholders to factor in a better, sustainable future global order. Dear learners, we hope you gained significant insights, inputs from the lecture on Third World and International Order. Thank you.